I guess you were born in Rhode Island, but you grew up in LA.
Yes, I was born in Providence, and my dad got a job as a music professor at Cal State LA out here when I turned about 4 years old. So we moved to the West Coast and, grew up in Altadena, California, Pasadena, basically, upper Pasadena. And yeah.
Well, your whole family is actually musicians, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
You mentioned your dad.
Mother's a concert pianist. My
Yeah.
brother's a cellist. My sister's a violinist, and yeah, so it's very much, there's some households that have, athleticism is like the main thing, everyone played a sport in the family, or everyone played it, an instrument, everyone made it a career, so it was sort of like hard to escape that sort of being the destiny, my destiny. And really on a daily basis, just watching my sister play, practice her instrument for like 8 hours a day was something that inspired me. And I want to go in there and be good at an instrument too. So, whether it was the keyboard or my drums, those were my first two instruments, was a drum set and playing a synthesizer.
Okay.
Yeah.
And I guess you started singing
practicing.
around 8 years old?
Yeah, that's right when I picked up the keyboard for the first time. I was around 8 and started to make songs and, of course, singing, but really, primarily making beats, beating on anything I could, tables or whatever, and, and playing the piano and singing, yeah.
And then comes Are You Still Down?
That's
with
right.
Tupac. Yeah. So tell me how that song developed.
Well, it's interesting. I had this friend. I have this boy. His name is Bezo, and Bezo goes back to the Yo MTV rap days. So Bezo knew Tupac, and Bezo was at the How Do You Want It video shoot, and Bezo calls me up and says, "Guess who's a fan of your music?" And I'm at his video shoot right now, and you need to get down here like right now. And I said, "Who? Where you at?" "I'm at Tupac's video shoot for How Do You Want It." I said, "Oh, okay, cool." He's like, "Come down here right now." I said, "Oh, okay, cool, whatever." Came down. It was like Fort Knox. It's like getting through like a barricade to get through like another one, like to show like my ID to get searched to go through another metal detector.
I mean, it was death row. Death row at its height, with the beef at its height. I mean, How Do You Want It? Yeah, I remember when that song came out. I think he was beefing with Biggie, and the East Coast West Coast war was.
This was crazy.
Yeah, I think Hit 'Em Up was already out. So this was like really, and Tupac was the biggest artist in the world, essentially, of any genre.
Well, he had called specifically to have me come down to the video shoot. So I came down. I remember I had Eric B from Eric B and Rakim, the DJ Eric B. He met me at the gates, and he was like, "What's up, man?" I was like, in my car, and I was playing my beats, and what's that? Something new I'm playing, And he got in for a second. I played him some beats. He's like, "Man, you need to play this for Pac. Come bring this in." So I brought the same beat tape, in for Pac, and I saw Pac, met him, saw Casey and JoJo in there, Johnny J. Rest in peace as well. He was the one who made the beat for Are You Still Down? He produced the beat. And
and that was one of Tupac's main producers.
Yes, it was.
So he made that for you?
Yes. Well, he made that for Pac, essentially. And then Pac, so the story is I was playing my beats for Tupac, and he immediately started to freestyle right in front of me. I remember Sway and Tech were both there, and they are both witnesses to this day. They were like, I remember when he heard your beats, he just lit up and started just rapping right there, start freestyling. So I was like, man, we got to put this down in the studio. And then Casey and JoJo like, oh man, look, man, you got you one right now, like they knew it was gonna happen, right? So I was like, okay, well maybe we'll make this happen. I didn't really expect it to happen right away, right? So after that, I kind of went home like thinking, okay, maybe that might happen. 2 weeks later, he gives me a call. Come down to Can-Am Studios. All right, so I come down to Can-Am Studios. And he's got all the gear there for me to basically make a beat. But I look at the parking lot, in the parking lot when I'm parking, there's a burgundy Rolls Royce out there, or Bentley, whatever it was. And my CD is sitting, my first CD, Bonafide, is sitting in the driver's side on the driver's side seat. And I'm like, that's Pac's car. Like, oh, he was playing my music. That's tight, right? So just that was always locked in my my mind. Before I even got in the session, I knew that he had the album. So I walked in and I saw Pac, and he was like, so let me hear some beats. So I played him the beats, and then he's like, let me play you some of mine. The first beat he played me was Are You Still Down? The beat for Are You Still Down? It's Johnny J's beats. And I was like, that's the one. So I said, damn what I was going to play. This is the one right here, And right away we got to it. And, it was about 3 hours in. I mean, we were pretty much done with the song. I mean, we talked about relationships. We talked about being in relationships that had gone wrong and sort of like wanted to holler back, being like on some reminiscent kind of like vibes, and almost like that drunken phone call, late night, like to your ex, like, you still think about me, that kind of vibe, right? But in a song, and at the same time, nobody had done a collaboration between R&B and hip hop. It was very rare. I mean, Mary J had done it with Method Man,
Bell Biv DeVoe were doing it.
Bell Biv DeVoe were doing it, but it was more like they were kind of like almost like
high energy kind of.
It wasn't hip hop like we knew hip hop was, like a real rap song with a singing, a singing artist.
Yeah,
you didn't really have that. I think Jody Watley and Rakim did something early on. And you just never really heard that sort of like that aggressive delivery of a rap, and then the softness of a singer right next to it. Because right after we did that song, it became to be this like sort of like this. It would just everybody started doing it, and it was like it just caught on. And I'm not saying that we we were the ones to like first do it or anything like that. I just remember when it wasn't something that was a very popular thing. And I remember turning that song in, oddly enough, them saying, you can't put this out. And really? He was still alive, mind you. And then he passed.
Okay, so why wouldn't they let you put it out?
Well, they were very concerned about the fact that we were two completely different artists. I had this sort of like real clean, lover's boy kind of vibe, romantic R&B dude, and then you had, Tupac, thug life, you know what I mean? And how are you going to mix these two vibes and make, he just came off Someone to Love with featuring Babyface and Pretty Girl, and we can't really grime his image up too much. That's what they thought, and I thought, well, that's not really what it is. This is me doing this. This happened for real. This is like a collaboration that happened for real. And this is what's happening out there in the world. People are running into each other and they want to collaborate. And whether it makes sense to you or not is not the issue. This is something that's gonna make sense in the future. But y'all gotta let this happen, And so they sort of like were like, all right, we'll put that in the we'll see. And then he died.
So you guys put this song together. It gets accepted for your album. But does the album drop before he passes or no? Or does the song come out?
No. So here's the thing: is they basically when he passed 2 weeks after the song, he was killed. After we recorded the song, he was killed 2 weeks later.
Right, in Las Vegas.
Yeah,
we've done a lot
so
of damage around that.
I got to know Tupac, and then he was killed right away. It was like someone that you knew for a brief moment. You got to know him for a brief moment, have this moment that was extremely, strong. So much was exchanged in those 3 hours, and it was probably more than 3 hours. I'm just saying the amount of time that it took for us to get the bulk of the song done was 3 hours, right? There was mad time spent in the studio with Pac. I watched him record To Live and Die in L.A. He sat there and watched me put down the vocoder parts for the background. Was, girl, it's all right. And I remember I was you know, we were drinking Hennessy and you know, everything was kind of, you know, real loose for a second. I was messing up, you know, on the vocal part, you know, vocoder part. And I was trying to get my Roger Troutman on, you know, and he was like, all right, man, no more Hennessy for Jon. Like, play that right, man. This ain't no joke. Play it. This is a record right now. Play it right. I was like, all right. And I like, you know, Tupac, you know, telling you to play it right. You're going to play it right, you know? So that's the take you hear is me like, girl, really try to be really right on it, you know what I mean? But I mean, he was a lovely dude, and he was like, man, at the end of the session, he was, man, just, you leaving already? You know, and I was like, man, I gotta go. It's like 4 a.m, you know, it's late. He's like, all right, man, love you, man. Don't waste your talent, man. Kill it out there, you know? And I just remember him being like somebody that I knew I was gonna see again. And that all of a sudden now I had this ally that was like very powerful. Yeah. You know what I mean? And I left with the world on my, you know, I was like, oh man, I felt like Superman, you know?
I've interviewed a lot of people who had worked with Tupac. Yeah. And a lot of them said that Tupac had this kind of urgency to get this music out.
Yeah.
You know, and a lot of them said that, you know, they felt like he knew he wasn't going to live for a long time. And he had to get this music out as quickly as possible.
He wrote his death before his death happened. He shot the video for I Ain't Mad At You a week before he got killed. Like, why would you do a video about you getting killed? And then a week later, you get killed. Why would you write songs about, you know, dear mama, and being a loving son to your mama, and all of these things kick into play now?
Yeah, and there's a bullet coming at him on his last album cover, you know, the Machiavelli album and everything.
He knew it. He worked like a fucking racehorse. Like, the way I work now, I ain't half as what he is. Like, here Usain Bolt, and I'm like Carl Lewis. But this motherfucker, and I swear to God, this how this nigga used to work. We be in the studio, he'll make a song, and be like 30 niggas in here. He'll make a song, he'll let him get on the song, him get on the song, him get on the song. As soon as the song go off, he won't even listen to it. Put that shit over there, pull the next beat up. He get on to the next beat. They writing some more shit. Boom, they finish that song, then he say, I'm gonna do one by myself. 20 minutes later, he in that motherfucker spitting it. There's 3 songs this nigga done did in an hour. 3 songs, he ain't listened to nan one of them. Then he may go smoke and chill or whatever, drink, come back, pull another beat up. When he in this motherfucker making music. Everybody in here making music. So it's like, to me, why the fuck was he working so fast and so hard and trying to finish all these records up?
He knew.
He had to know.
He had to hurry up and get all that music out. That's what I heard people say.
He had his shirt off in the session, and I could see the bullet holes, you know what I mean? The scars. And it's intense when you see someone's bullet holes. It kind of puts it into perspective. It's not like tattoos.
Yeah.
It's like where the flesh is, you know what I mean? It's like flares out like that, like in lines. And it's like pretty intense. And he had like 6 or something like that, or whatever it was, on his chest. So he had like slacks on with his shirt off and like dress shoes with the white dress shoes on. Never forget, you know, he came with a Versace shirt on, and he just would take it off during the session, just be like, you know, with the chains, and, you know, it's just Tupac, you know, exactly how you see. And I remember him, you know, he had this very tough exterior, but once you sat down to get into the song, oh man, it wasn't nothing that he wouldn't, an emotion, it wasn't nothing that was left no stone unturned, you know what I mean? Like, he would go to the, you know, to the very depths and core of what you feel, what you know, what are you really trying to go? What are you trying to say right now? Before he would, you know, just write the line down, you know. I remember that about him. He's like, nah, don't just sing it, man. Go back. Really feel that one right there, you know. And some of the things that he said to me will stick with me for life, you know. I'll never forget it.
Well, 2 weeks later, after recording the song, he gets killed. How did you feel when you first got that phone call?
Yeah, when he was killed, it was like all of the air just taken out from everything that I had, explained to you, that I felt like Superman leaving there. You know what I mean? It was like somebody just stole all the air out and just came crashing down to earth, because, part of me was very much like thinking like, well, I got blessed with this situation, and this is just something that he's gonna live through it, because he got shot 6 times and he lived. So he got shot again, and this is just miraculous. He's gonna live.
Yeah.
So part of me thought like, I think he's gonna live, And so the saddest part is like, we had this. I wanted to get in touch with him. You couldn't get in touch with him. Yeah. No one could get in touch with him. I was in London in a church recording in Air Studios, which is an old renovated church, and it's where the Beatles used to record, and it's where they recorded like Sgt. Pepper Lonely Hearts Club Band. It's like big cathedral recording studio. So I'm in this cathedral church when I find out that Tupac had been shot, and basically he was gonna die. And I don't know, there was a part of me that was just kind of like, okay, damn the song, damn the song, this is a person, you know what I mean? Like, he got shot, like, again? Like, that's not fair. It's not fair. And then everything that went with it, I thought, oh God, now it's not just about him being gone now. Now the burden's gonna come with, we've recorded this song, like I did a song with this man, you know what I mean? We had this song to answer about. We were just gonna put this song out. We had talked about being in the video, for God's sake, together, and getting dressed up, and you know what I mean? I mean, all my dreams were shattered, bro. Like, you know what I mean? For real. And it wasn't so much about me. That's really describing it in a selfish way, because at that point I was just worried about his family and like the people that knew him better than I knew him. I had known him for a short bit, you know what I mean? So I was just thinking like, oh my God, this guy, it was just too much to handle too fast, and then what's so crazy is that, of course, then all the opportunists come into the situation, and they're like, oh, you got to put the song out, and of course, to me, I was just like, I ain't touching that. And I didn't want to touch it. I didn't want to even put the song, out. I was very, very much like, I didn't know what to do. And it was up to Afeni Shakur, to really make that song something that needed to happen. Because she basically said, no, my son never played me his music, because he was always sort of looking out for my, what I would find offensive.
Yeah.
But he was very, very much excited to play me this song, Are You Still Down, which is the reason why she named his first album that ever came out after his death.
Yeah,
was called Are You Still Down.
Right, because you guys you do the video without Tupac.
Yeah.
And
they forced that.